Hey, it's Jay.
I'm Maggie. Today, we're starting the first in a new series where we break down Pokemon powers from different Pokemon types and see how they stack up against the real world.
We're kicking off things with the high-fliers.
Here are 10 real-life superpowers behind your favorite flying types.
Let's talk about Delibird, a festive, plump Pokemon that has two abilities, Insomnia and Vital Spirit, that do exactly the same thing. They prevent sleep. It sounds like a superpower, or a typical night for me. But in the real world, the Chinstrap Penguin takes no sleep to a terrifying new level. Most animals take a long snooze, either at night or during the daytime. These guys, they take up to 10,000 micronaps a day, each averaging just 4 seconds. Basically, these little guys can rack up to 11 hours of sleep per day via thousands of tiny micronaps, speedrunning sleep like they're trying to unlock the new level of existence. This bizarre nap schedule helps these birds stay alert 24/7 while keeping watch over their nests. Delibird's sleep immunity is just a fantastic twist on this real-world superpower.
I see you when you're sleeping. I know when you're awake.
Tailwind is a stable move in competitive play that allows you to double your team's speed, but for some real-life flying-type animals, it's the only way to travel. Mosquito, for example. On their own, they're not winning any drag races, but they're experts at catching high-altitude wind highways. In fact, some mosquito species can travel hundreds of miles in a single night by just hitching a ride on the breeze. It's a literal IRL Tailwind exploit.
1 out of 10 stars, very unbalanced. Please nerf the bugs.
Let's talk Gyarados. Gyarados is a flying type that can't learn fly. Why?
My goals are beyond your understanding.
Because it's based on the leaping carp myth, where a fish that jumps over the dragon gate becomes a dragon. Real-life carp can't fly either, so this flying limitation is reflective of Gyarados' humble beginnings. But real carp can get pretty close. For example, did you know the silver carp can jump up to 10 feet out of the water? They do it when they're startled by boat motors. Silver carp certainly aren't turning into dragons anytime soon, though. They're just hitting the fishermen in the face, which, to be fair, is a very Gyarados thing to do. Pokemon lore says Lugia is so powerful that a single flap of its wings can cause a 40-day storm. That's a lot of property damage for one bird. Interestingly enough, humans in the real world have been blaming birds for the weather for centuries. Sailors used to think storm petrels, tiny little seabirds, actually caused hurricanes. In reality, the birds show up just before the storm because they can sense changes in the environment: barometric pressure, low-frequency sounds, and electromagnetic fields. These are especially important senses for storm petrels, who rely on hurricanes to stir up fish to feed their young chicks.
They're just trying to support a growing family, while we humans are out here pointing fingers. Yeesh!
Don't shoot the messenger truly applies here. Maybe Lugia isn't starting the storm, it's just the only one who checked the forecast this morning. Speaking of Lugia, this legendary signature flying type move is Aeroblast, a literal vortex of air that rips through the competition. But here's a real bird that looks and sounds like it's about to launch a compressed air attack. The Shoebill Stork.
Ah, yes, the bird that looks like it's judging your entire soul.
Exactly. While Lugia uses air as a weapon, the Shoebill Stork creates its own acoustic Aeroblast. They perform machine gunning, which is a rapid snapping of their bill that creates a sound so loud and pressurized, it sounds like an actual firearm, or even a mini sonic boom. Why do they do this? We're not entirely sure, but it seems to be part of their mating calls, and it might also be effective at warding off intruders.
I could see that being effective. If I heard one of these in tall grass, I'm not waiting around to see the stats. I'm hitting the run button immediately.
On to a different legendary, Rayquaza. Rayquaza lives in the ozone layer. It's basically a giant space dragon.
Are there other kinds of space dragons?
You'd think in real life, birds would be limited to, where there's actually oxygen to breathe. But one bird didn't get the stay in your lane memo. Enter Rüppell's Vulture. One was once recorded hitting a commercial airplane at 37,000 feet. For context, that's about 7 miles up. At that height, humans need oxygen masks and pressurized cabins just to stay conscious.
And they're just vibing up there?
They have a specialized type of hemoglobin that makes their oxygen intake incredibly efficient. They are the closest thing to a dragon flying type that we have. They fly so high that they can literally see the curvature of the Earth. Rayquaza would be proud.
Before heading into our next segment, I want to remind you that if you've found this video interesting so far, please hit that subscribe button.
What do the viewers get for subscribing, Maggie?
Well, in addition to being the first to know when we drop a new video, you'll get priority boarding on the Pokecology Lab airlines.
That's a great perk.
Definitely. Comes with its own complimentary bag of poffins and valet luggage. Very prestige.
Sign me up. Getting back on land, let's look at the move Roost. In the games, it's a top-tier healing move, but it comes with a massive catch. For the rest of the churn, you lose your flying type, you're grounded, you're vulnerable.
It's basically the please hit me with an earthquake button.
Exactly, and for the frigate bird, roosting isn't just a strategic risk, it's a life or death reality. These are birds that spend months over the ocean, but they have a hidden debuff. They can't swim.
Wait, a seabird that can't swim? That's like a fire type being afraid of a lighter.
Unlike ducks or gulls, frigate birds don't have waterproof feathers. If they land on the water, they get waterlogged and drown. They essentially have a 4x weakness to water.
So for them, using Roost on the water isn't just a bad play, it's an insta-KO button.
Yes, and because they can't land on the water, they've mastered half-brain sleeping. They fly into thermal updrafts and shut down one hemisphere of their brain at a time while gliding 2,000 feet in the air. Basically, they're literally sleeping on a tightrope over a watery grave just to avoid damage. They only use a true roost when they find solid land. On to another flying type tank. Pokemon lore says Dragonite can fly around the entire world in about 16 hours. That's impressive, sure, but the bar-tailed Godwit does it without the pseudo-legendary stats. This bird holds the record for the longest non-stop flight, over 8,000 miles from Alaska to New Zealand. That is 11 days of continuous flapping without stopping for food, water, or a nap.
That's not a flight, that's a midlife crisis.
It gets wilder. To prepare, they literally shrink their internal organs, like their liver and gut, before the trip, to save weight and maximize fuel efficiency. These birds turn themselves into a lean, mean, flying machine.
That's real-life Pokemon evolution if I've ever seen it.
Now let's talk speed tiers. In Pokemon, Talonflame has the ability Gale Wings. This gives all its flying type moves priority, meaning you're hitting first before the opponent can even blink. In the real world, the Peregrine Falcon is the undisputed king of the priority bracket. When these birds go into a stoop, their signature hunting dive, they reach speeds of over 240 miles per hour. It moves so fast that if it hit a human, it would be like getting tackled by a feathered bowling ball.
Ooh! Rest in peace, my ribcage.
Who do you think you are? I am!
It's actually a marvel of evolutionary engineering. The peregrine has specialized baffles, tiny bony tubercles inside its nostrils. These act like intake valves to slow the airflow, otherwise its lungs would literally explode from the air pressure at those speeds.
So, it's a bird with built-in life support just so it can keep its priority bracket? Jeez, 10 out of 10, no notes. Please don't dive bomb me.
Check out the Lyrebird. It's the ultimate flying normal type. It doesn't just sing, it uses Mirror Move to copy almost any sound it hears in the forest to confuse rivals or predators.
Okay, that's not a bird, that's a spy gadget.
It's better than a gadget. They can mimic chainsaws, camera shutters, and even other species of birds to trick them away from food. Imagine trying to fight a Pidgey and it starts making the sound of a hyper beam just to psych you out. That's literal psychological warfare. From birds that don't sleep to vultures that fly higher than commercial jets, the real world really is the original competitive meta.
And clearly it's a lot more unbalanced than we thought.
Thanks for joining us for the first Pokemon powers in real life. We've got 17 more types to get through, so make sure you're subscribed for the next one.
Bye!